Hey guys, welcome to Boxing Squared for boxing news and views from around the internet. Arslanbek Makhmudov has returned to the winner's circle in Canada following his first career defeat. He stopped Miljan Rovcanin in Quebec inside 2 rounds, and largely it was what you would expect from a Arslanbek Makhmudov fight. Especially in the first round, it was wild, it was fun, it was sloppy, everything you've come to expect with the big swinging slugger who likes to come forward, let his punches go and try to tear apart the opponent in front of him. And that's what we had in round 1, and that almost ended the fight in that round when Rovcanin, he took a right hand, he was backed up, a big left hook comes in, and then a cuffing right hand, and it was clear on the replay, sent him, Rovcanin, careening to the canvas almost through the ropes. It was a very sort of dramatic moment because the force of the shot that sort of cuffed him on the shoulder, literally almost threw him out of the ring. So he had a count there, and Makhmudov was looking to end things right there, but couldn't get it done. Rovcanin escapes the first round. And then you have a bit more of a patient Makhmudov in round 2. He must have been told by his coach, Mark Ramsey, look, you're going to get the opportunities. It's going to come. This guy in front of you there's openings. You're going to catch up with him. Just be patient. And we saw a more patient Makhmudov, and you don't really see too much of that. He was mostly working with the jab, stabbing it to the body. And then we had Makhmudov connecting with a huge right hand. Rovcanin went down like a sack of potatoes off a cliff, and he looked to potentially get up, looked over to his corner, but you could see that he didn't want to. He decided to stay down, counted out. Makhmudov bounces back after that first loss in Saudi to Agit Kabayel, where, let's face it, he was humbled in that fight. Went in there as a guy with a reputation for being a bit of a brute who was looking to put the hurt on, and ultimately ended that one with his first career loss. And they're looking to get back to Saudi Arabia. They've made no secret about it. Eye of the Tiger management, Camille Estefan, Makhmudov is promoted by them. They want to get back there. They want to be amongst the action. Probably if it happens, it's not going to be against anyone, at the top level, but it could be against guys that are sort of fringe contenders or guys in between the top 10 to 20 in the world. There's a number of guys that they could pick if they want to put Makhmudov back in. That's the Saudis, I mean. Obviously, after that showing in Saudi where, Kabayel just decimated him to the body, made his body look like candle wax. Maybe there's a question, but there's always going to be guys. I mean, look, Kabayel just beat Frank Sanchez convincingly, dominated Makhmudov, then dominated Sanchez. What about Sanchez versus Makhmudov in a few months? That could be something that could work. I mean, it looked like Frank Sanchez might have been hobbled by a knee injury, but potentially if the money's there and if he was injured, he clearly decided to risk it all against Kabayel. Maybe he'd look to do it again. We know someone like a Martin Bacoli is looking for an opponent. Who's to say that you couldn't in 6 or 8 months have something like Makhmudov versus a Joe Joyce? That would be a fun fight. And maybe a dark horse on the outside looking in who might sort of get thrown into things at some point, Hughie Fury. That could be a name. There's plenty of other guys as well, especially if they're looking to build other guys up. Maybe the Saudis have got someone like a Jared Anderson, from Makhmudov down the line in the next 6 to 12 months. That could be something. And I'm not saying that Makhmudov's going to go in and be fed like a lamb to the slaughter against the lion, but I think what we've always known with Makhmudov, his style has certain limitations. I mean, there's no defense. It's all-out attack. There's plenty of holes. He'll get hit. He was always going to get stopped, and, at some point the wheels were going to fall off. But I've always said, just enjoy the ride. He's a fun guy to watch, and fun fights, he always delivers action. And including when he lost, it was pretty dramatic stuff. So I expect a couple of different style matchups against guys that are not necessarily big body punches like Agit Kabayel is, guys that don't have a lot of power. Makhmudov is going to have a shot in some matchups, but I think as he goes up the ladder, if he can get back up the ladder, he probably will fall short again. It's probably not if, it's rather when. But he's a guy in the heavyweight division that is always bringing the excitement and the entertainment. And too often we're saying that not enough fighters, really sort of bring the excitement all of the time. So Makhmudov is one of these guys that, kind of regardless of what happens, kind of like this first round in this fight, just enjoy it. I'm not saying he's going to be a champion or get close to that, but he's always going to be in a good fight. So I don't mind it. And let's face it, they want to get back there because to Saudi Arabia because the money is huge. The millions that could be on offer, especially if he won a fight and then, advances on to another card. There's untold riches that could potentially await. And sometimes these are not necessarily against all the top names. They're getting paid, huge money for fights that maybe 1 or 2 years ago wouldn't get made because there was no money in it. There was no reason for people to risk it all. They will risk it now for the money that's on offer. So, I like the fact that we can potentially see fun matchups that a year or two ago we wouldn't have even considered were possible. I mean, something like Joyce versus Makhmudov, I think that would be extremely fun. It's probably not going the distance, but it would be a good watch. Anyway, what did you make of Rovcanin versus Makhmudov? Look, it was a tune-up. Let's call it for what it is. But he needed to get a win in the win column, put himself back in the shop window for a potential return to Saudi Arabia, or at least another fight in the next couple of months to stake his case again to get back in the mix. Drop a comment, loud and often. Hit like, hit subscribe, follow me on Twitter. Boxing_squared. I'm out.